right, welcome everyone to Phoenix Talks. I am Micah Grant, also known as Brindle Wolf, for those of you who know me in the Smuliverse, I guess you could say. And I am joined today by not only my lovely co-host Diane, but a good friend of hers, Veronica. I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name. You can let me know what that is.
Carpenter.
Carpenter, that's right. I should have remembered that, bang, bang. But today we are going to have a non-rehearsed, non-scripted, we don't even have a line of questions ready, but today we're going to talk about trust and how that affects your mental health, your mental well-being, and those that are around you and part of your life, and sometimes how they break it, because it's such a vital thing that people don't often forgive enough for, where somebody that says or does something and they promise something and then they don't follow through, which causes a break in trust, which causes other things to happen as far as how you look at them, how you interact with them, and the relationship as a whole. And with that opening, I'm going to see what Diane has to say.
So, yeah, trust is a very interesting topic because we need it in order for us to become more authentically aligned with ourselves. And I think ultimately with the trust issue, the world right now is a little weird, as people will tell you. The culture, the political arena, the you name it, whatever area of life you want it to be in, there's these betrayals that are popping up and surfacing. There's these sensations and understandings of, well, that didn't feel right. Why didn't that feel right? Because it was inauthentic. So now I feel betrayed and I can no longer trust. So there's all these things surfacing up right now with the energy in the collective with regards to feeling, seeing and experiencing those feelings of betrayal and lack of trust and insecurity and instability. So, I think this discussion is going to be whatever directions it flows in, it's all going to be useful because I know that we're going to come back to that core conversation of how I feel like we have to trust ourselves and get to know ourselves as deeply as possible in order to recognize circumstances and situations that might have us betray our own trust.
Absolutely. And before we start diving into any one aspect, I'd also like to hear Veronica's.
Hear my thoughts about trust?
Yes, I'd love to hear your thoughts about trust.
Well, Diane hit it at the end, right? Where she was like, and ultimately it comes down to trusting yourself. So I'm here, like, that's exactly when I hear the word trust, I'm like, I spent so many years betraying my own trust and not being in good relationship with myself and like trusting others, which is like ridiculous because humans are fallible, right? And they're going to come and they're going to go. And so it really doesn't matter. The trust that goes out to others, it really has to do with how much do I trust myself to choose what's best for me, to align me with like my most authentic self and to be in tune with what is supposed to be for my life. And it's like trusting in my connection to the divine, trusting in, all of that. That's where I can put my trust, because people, it's not necessarily going to work. So, because they're gonna hurt. It's good. There's gonna be hurt, right? It's just gonna happen because we're all basically kind of walking around like damaged goods from any traumas that we've been through. And so we're going to meet the humans that push the buttons. So I guess the only thing that you can trust is that you're going to be forced to look at your trust issues in relationships with others. So really get solid on your relationship with trusting yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And along those lines, there's a large feeling that I'm getting, especially based on what you guys are saying, is that there's a very large energetic of feeling safe. And that there's a big sorry, I lost a word that I wanted to say, but when we trust ourselves, we feel safe. We feel safe in our surroundings. We feel safe in what we're going to do, what we're going to say, who we're going to interact with, and that goes outwards. And when we have people that are surrounding us that we don't trust, is it us or is it them? And that's one of those things that we have to discern on our own. Do I not trust them because they are mirroring exactly what it is that I'm going through and that I need to work on? Or are they just the wrong type of people I should be around? Because that is also true.
Right. Ooh,
So what are your thoughts on that safety?
that one hit me because I'm like, oh, I felt that one. If it wasn't for trusting myself but okay, how to get to trusting myself was getting to know myself, and I still get to know myself, and that's part of like when you're triggered and when you're not sure if someone isn't really showing you all the signs that you need to actually trust them, you have to trust yourself to understand you're going to protect yourself. You're going to keep yourself safe. You're going to preserve your own health and well-being above all else, if you choose to, if you're consciously aware to be doing that for yourself. So that means you're going to be very, very uncomfortable, and you're going to be very, very out there and vulnerable in order to protect and preserve yourself with that self-trust. So get to know yourself so well that you know yourself. We all go through circumstances and situations, and for me, when you're highly sensitive and you feel everything, it's hard to discern. It's a challenge. So when I feel everything, I don't know what to trust because I'm feeling it all. So now I have to watch you and observe you, and what are you showing me? And I have to listen to every single thing that you're saying, because what are you telling me? And analyze all of that data. And like, I got to trust myself to be able to discern with the limited information that I'm receiving, that I can keep myself safe.
And when you have to go through all of that processing with every person that you're interacting with, it's
Right.
hard to do, and it can be exhausting and taxing.
Right.
So the more that you trust yourself, that you're going to hear and see what exactly you need to know if the person that you're talking to is somebody that's supposed to be in your circle.
Right.
And that is there for you.
Right.
How do you get there?
Yeah.
One thing that is very present in a lot of my personal clients right now is the dealing with authenticity and how that affects the people that they're around and the circle of people that they're around. Yeah. One of the truths about rising into your own authenticity is that you will see a decline of up to 99% of the people that have been in your life because you just don't resonate with them anymore.
Right.
The more you trust yourself, the less you start to trust those people and what they had, and that they're trying to control you.
Right. Right.
And sometimes it isn't even out of malice. It's just that's where they're at.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like you're in it and you can't get out of it because you're with your family, right? That's family is a big thing. I have chosen to be separate from my family of origin because they are not individuals that I can trust, right? Like they've never been, it's just not there. And some people don't understand, and some people will choose to keep people that are untrustworthy in their lives because they are family, right? And so I had to lean in on trusting all of the work that I'm doing on the back end to make sure that, like, because I've cut ties in the physical realm, that like I've worked through all the things in the unseen realms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not walking with resentments or judgments or all the things, and like working through forgiveness and acceptance, and trusting that it's my faith and my connection with source is so strong that I trust that it's okay for me to like, just for now, they're not safe, right? Like, and you can keep like tuning into the person's energy, but people in our society do not understand that and stay in dysfunctional and distrusting, unsafe, unhealthy environments because it's my family
Yeah.
and I have to. And sometimes, yeah, they do. And then that is their path in their life, and that is where they are at.
Yeah.
And those people are constantly miserable, having illnesses out of nowhere that they don't understand why. They have no energy. They're always depressed, or they claim that they're always depressed. No human being is ever always depressed. But because they choose to stay there, they're out of beliefs and values
Mhm.
instead of authenticity and trust.
Yeah, and that's the authenticity piece, I'm sorry, is the hardest part because not everyone's authentic. So you have, we're as a society and culture and religion and whatever programs taught not to be authentic. That's the issue.
Taught literally how to disconnect.
Yes.
It's like I met this woman at an ecstatic dance, and she's like, "Yeah, it's really strange for me to dance because I grew up thinking that dance wasn't allowed, and it was because of religion." And so I started this conversation with her, and I was like, "Well, I teach that dance connects you with your spirit." So our society, religions, certain things, structures set up to disconnect you from it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's fucked.
It's-
Sorry, it's messed up.
So you start
It
to
is.
unpack and unlearn and understand if you feel betrayal. So where does that start? It starts with your family of origin. And it starts with sometimes a micro betrayal, such like, I'll give you an example. Like when you're 7 years old and you go to your mom with something that's rather uncomfortable for you, that you feel a certain kind of way about as a 7-year-old, you're dysregulated. And you tell your mom in confidence and she understands that. And then you overhear her telling her friend. Now you're humiliated
Uh-huh.
and ashamed. And that's a betrayal. So it starts with things like that. So when you reflect on your experience, reflect on what circumstances made you feel ashamed, betrayed, humiliated, and start walking through recognizing that in your environment and including in yourself,
Mhm.
so that you could start becoming more authentic and stop betraying yourself and start trusting yourself more.
Right. And when people are really excited about a new change that is going to not only affect them, but their entire circle, when they're really excited about that change and they want to tell everybody just because they're so excited, it's not out of needing validation, it's literal just excitement. And they go and they tell one person that they think that they can trust. And then all of a sudden, you have this army of people after you because they talk to another person, and then the telephone game happens,
Right.
where the story continues to get changed until the change that you were looking forward to, where'd everybody go?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's not only social media, but there is the use of social media because it's so easy. It's so easy to talk to somebody in private in the background thinking that it's completely safe.
Right. So you have to check yourself and see in what ways you are, extending these micro betrayals that is off balancing your ability to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. There's always a lot of meat and potatoes in our conversations. I have to say that.
Always. Always. I said with an H because there's a lot of hallways in the always.
Yes.
A lot of branches go down.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, there was an issue with where I was employed, where a lot of people were breaking my trust. I would vent to somebody, and all of a sudden I'd hear it from a superior, and I'd be the one in trouble, even though I was just venting. So unfortunately, I created tests where I would tell only one person something.
That's actually funny.
Cause then you're
And I'd wait,
testing it, yeah.
and then I'd wait. Now, the sad part is that shouldn't have happened. There should have been that level of trust where, hey, I'm venting to you. I'm having struggle with this. And then they go and say, oh, well, did you hear what Micah said?
Yeah.
You gotta
So-
say, put it in the vault.
What's that?
You have to say, put it in the vault.
Yes.
So you have to be like, this is in the vault. And then if they still go around,
But you know, people don't recognize, I really feel like half of that betrayal is just not thinking, not considering, because we're trained to be this way. So it's normalized. So
Yep.
it's really a matter of getting yourself into the habit of catching yourself when there's a circumstance in your world that is a betrayal in some way, and taking a corrective action, whether it be change your thoughts, change your actions, change your behavior, you know, to move yourself into that space of authenticity and truth. And that also brings you to a place of where you can become trustworthy, because if you're living in that space of authenticity and truth, you're going to be able to express yourself with confidence and security, because you can't negate when something is aligned with is in alignment with unconditional love and compassion. You can't argue with that.
yeah. To establish trust, you must be truthful, like embodiment of truth in your relationship with yourself and others. And the truth is, sometimes we're messy and sometimes we fuck up. Sorry.
That's okay. True.
Sometimes we hurt ourselves or hurt each other. But it's like in the relationship with someone, when that happens, then it's like, oh, I am so sorry. You know what? I totally realized that I was kind of an a-hole to you, and I apologize, right? And then that's how we get the trust back.
With consistent changed behavior.
Right. And then
forward.
then moving forward, I have to be like, oh yeah, and then I gotta look at
Yourself.
yeah.
Right. Right.
And be truthful and honest. I think that
Yep.
a lot of people, so the throat chakra, Vishuddha, the name means purification, right? And so the shadow of it is lies. And so we lie, or not, well, not us, but like I think humanity lies, and they don't understand. Even white lies disconnect you from your spirit.
Yep.
Period. End of story.
Yes.
If you are lying in any way, if you are hiding in any way who you are or whatever it is, it will stop that flow.
100%.
And that's what can help you be authentic. If you just like, if there's like something that like an active thing that you could put into your life because you're like, dude, I want to be more in tune, right?
Right.
Stop lying. And when you do lie, look at that.
Right. It's going to really help with your trust issues.
And it's going to work with your trust with
Right.
yourself, with others. You're going to start to see more things, more doors and windows will open, and you'll be like, oh my God, it's over here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you need scientific evidence to back it up, there is the Spain emotional scale. And there, I don't remember where the study was done or when or whatever, but you can Google it, where they had a controlled study of body of people in an auditorium where they presented visual and auditory stimuli to evoke various range of emotions. And it was the energy, because we are energy beings and we emit, and they do have now, the technology is catching up, the technology to measure the energy and frequency of the emotional range that people are projecting from their being from being stimulated.
Right.
So what they found was that the highest vibration is authenticity. That was the result. I was actually surprised. I was expecting it to be love.
Well, they said it's not love, it's authenticity, but ultimately authenticity is love. It's the divine love.
Right. And you cannot reach love without authenticity.
No, exactly. I mean, it's, yeah.
Right. And without that truth and authenticity, you can't trust. So you have to be authentic in order to trust yourself. So you
Yes.
know you're solid. Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna excuse myself 2 seconds. Go ahead, continue.
And one of the crazy things is that I have seen firsthand, you're talking about the throat chakra and speaking the truth and speaking how you feel, being authentic, being honest. I have seen firsthand people get really physically sick because of lies that they've spread, because of truths that they haven't spoken. I don't understand why I have a goiter. I don't understand why I have throat cancer. I don't understand why I have trouble breathing and my passages are closing up. Well,
So
would you like the truth?
So like the scientific, it's in your body.
It's in your
The
body.
lump in the throat, the like, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff starts to happen. And yes, the people that stuff it away for years. Yeah.
I was diagnosed
like
with
the-
Hashimoto's hypothyroidism years ago. I am healing from it.
Good.
However, the throat chakra has been an issue in this particular lifetime and others on whatever planes of existence.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is because I was constantly in survival mode and very unhealed and self-preservation mode, I would gaslight and manipulate to try to protect myself.
Yep.
I fibbed to try to protect myself. So all of that untruth was piling up and piling up and piling up. When that finally came to a head and I recognized how sick my body became, you know, I decided to do something about it. And my healing journey began with my thyroid being a problem. So I had to start healing the physical and deciding that enough is enough. You have to be sick and tired of your own shit, excuse me, in order to, you know, make a decision that's in your best interest. And I'm
Right.
sorry, that's in the best interests of your health and well-being. So, you know, for me personally, the throat chakra has been an issue, and I absolutely 100% understand why. I will not lie now. I just refuse. If somebody needs me to, I won't. I'm not.
Yeah. And yeah, so I'm a yogi and we don't lie either. And when I really started to put that into play, it like was like, because I also have had issues with my throat chakra my whole life. I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck.
Ooh. So you started this life with
So
trust.
I started this life, and I look at my life, and my throat chakra was the most unstable. It was either I was throwing it all in your face, my truth was going to be like smashed in, or I was going to hold it
Yeah.
and just be with it and like, blah, you know. So
Right.
yeah, I've been working on that for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Interesting. What about you, Micah? Any stuff with your throat? Have you noticed?
Actually, there's an interesting thing occurring right now because Diane will tell you that I'll get messages and pick up things for the viewing audience, whether they're watching live or whether they're watching the replay, that somebody is really going to be able to understand this, especially when it comes to the throat chakra and things being held on to, because somebody who's listening to us, either right now or in the future, has this closing up. But like me, they have this closing up and they're sacral because they're constantly trying to please. They're constantly trying to validate. They're constantly trying to make sure that everyone else is happy, and in the process, not being true to themselves because they don't trust themselves.
The fix for that is speak your truth, speak your needs, speak your discomfort.
But in the sacral, is that what you said? So the throat connected with the sacral. So then they need to start with the sacral and they need to start playing and having fun and being
Yes.
curious and doing things that they enjoy, not worrying about what other people enjoy. And then embracing whatever let their freak flag fly and shine it bright. Whatever it is, this is my thing. And be fully in that. And then be able to talk about it. But it might start first with just like being okay with being different.
Yes.
Yep.
And I love that you said that because the sacral chakra, like creativity, childlike play, hormonal balancing, like all these important things that are necessary for you to reconnect with yourself so that you could start to be more authentic and know what your truth actually is.
Yep.
It's a way of getting to know yourself.
So it's inner child play.
Yes.
It's inner child. It's
Yes.
like, remember when you were a kid and you loved doing this thing? Go do that thing. Even if it's by yourself, go play and
Yes.
tune back into that, and
Yes.
that will help you.
Oh, I love
Yep.
that. Yes. I tell my clients like I just do anything. Like
Do it alone. You don't have to do it with anybody else, or find somebody else
There
that
you
wants
go.
to do it.
Nope.
take shaving cream in the shower and just start drawing pictures on yourself.
Whatever the thing
Go have
is.
fun.
It's like, I really liked bubbles. I really like I really like the ocean. I really like singing. I really like dancing. These are all things that I like doing as a kid, but then other people, they're really into games, or they're really into drawing,
Yeah.
or they're really into singing, or they're really into dancing, right? Like,
Yeah.
or
That's
something
it.
else, something totally different.
Exactly. That definitely helps. We're giving you guys a lot of meat and potatoes on how to become more trusting of yourself.
Yeah.
Right, right,
So you
because
can learn who is deserving of your trust.
Yeah, who's
outside
deserving of you? Because I
Thank
think
you
a
for
lot,
saying it that way.
yeah, deserving of you, because a lot of times we'll be like, oh, I don't trust that I deserve more, and so I'm just going to accept this because this is all whatever. Yeah, I don't deserve the fullness of whatever it is,
Yeah.
worthiness, right?
that whole energetic always makes me kind of cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you deserve
Because
it.
I've heard it in that tone
Yeah.
from people who are literally trying to help others or say that they're helping others. But then they're like whine and I don't know and I don't get it.
Mm.
Well, trying to prove yourself.
That's not authentic. You're just
That's not authentic.
Yeah, there's a piece here that's like, it's really intentionality of who you are. Who is it that you want to be? How is it that you want to show up? For me, my intention is always love, and it's curiosity and playfulness,
Right.
and it's authenticity, and it's like loving kindness and compassion and truthfulness, right? There's like certain things, and then holding myself accountable, being self-reflective, because if somebody says something to me and it brings something up in me, I need to like look at it, because the old me didn't want to look at it, and I'd be like, oh, whatever, it's all you.
Trust the process and trust that you can get yourself through it.
Yeah, get yourself through it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is why we're
And
friends.
one thing that, try and remind the viewers of frequently is that we are on this journey. It's an ongoing journey. It's not something that just happens. It's not something that you just fall into, that all of a sudden you follow all of these steps and life is peachy, life is perfect, bullshit, life is messy.
Yeah.
And things are going to happen that test your authenticity, test your trust and your safety for how you're going through life. But if you can't answer the question, how do I trust myself if I don't know myself?
Get to know yourself. You just
Get
got
to know yourself.
And it's not a light switch. It's not a quickie. You got to give life and experience time.
It's a spiral.
Yes. That is my ministry studies book.
But that's a spiral, right? This necklace, it's a spiral, right? I
Yes.
bought this as a reminder. It's a cycle. It's
Yes.
never done. And so
It's
these are all
never-
these lessons that are coming up, and you're going to repeat the patterns are going to repeat, repeat, repeat. And you have to get to a point where like, I am done
Yeah.
with this repeating pattern. What is it that it's showing me? What is it that it's teaching me? And look at the lessons, because indeed, everything that we're experiencing is meant for our growth in some way. And if we don't wake up to what the lesson is attempting to teach us, it's just going to be again, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay. Then you're going to master it and you're going to be like, okay, I think I understand it. Then you're going to get the situation to test. Do you really know? How are you going to respond this time when this happens to you?
Mhm.
Okay. Right? It's constant.
Yes, and it is constant. I feel like all three of us are going through something that is definitely testing us and our trust in ourselves and giving us opportunities to practice speaking our truth. I mean, I think we're all getting tested right now.
And it isn't just the three of us either. It's everyone who views. It's everybody who doesn't view.
Right.
Because there's so much going on right now. There's so many lies being told
Yeah.
that they're being told in a way that fools our energetics,
Yeah.
that feels right.
Yeah.
Even though there's that little bitty undercurrent saying, hold up. But the more that you trust yourself, the more that you'll know whether or not you're supposed to follow that current
Yeah.
for whatever reason the greater wants to show you.
And so I think the average human doesn't actually know then how to practice learning how to tune in and trust yourself. You have to learn to get quiet with yourself. You have to learn to be with your breath. You have to learn to be with your body. You have to learn to be in stillness. And because of all of the distraction of the physical world, that is actually what's keeping you in the loops.
Mhm.
The only way to get to the clarity, to get to the knowledge, is to do this work of to learn how to be still.
Yes.
And it's with still in your body, and then your mind is like not still. It's going to be like a madhouse. And so a lot of people, they're like, I am not up and sitting with that. That is just. And so you have to like slowly train yourself. So like
Yes.
I've been doing yoga. I'm a yoga therapist. I live a yogic lifestyle. I found yoga over 20 years ago. When I started it, I would skip out on Shavasana. I only did heated power because I couldn't be still with myself, because I had experienced so much trauma that I literally just felt unsafe in any moment. I distrusted the world. I distrusted myself. I distrusted my parents. I distrusted everybody. And so eventually over time, like yogic practices will start to heal your body, your nervous system, your mind. And now I can be still. I can be with my breath. But it was like a long, and there's different things that you can do. You don't have to do the fullness of the path. You could do parts of it. But I think a big thing is like learning eventually just to be mindful, present, recognize your breath, tune into your emotions, and like it's regulating nervous system.
It is. And the way to do that is that conscious awareness of self. So you really have to choose to consciously think of what you're saying, think of what you're doing. How is that affecting you? Does that serve a purpose to bring you forward and bring you peace? Or is that creating chaos and destruction unbeknownst to you? Because some of these thoughts and patterns of behaviors are destructive. And we don't see the damage or the pattern repeat until we've had enough of our own shit. Excuse my language again. But we do need to practice intentionally, like you were saying before, living intentionally, that conscious awareness of self. And is it really authentic with you? How do you really feel about it? Is that really how you feel? Or is that something you just learned? Where'd you get it from? Try something else on and see what that feels like. That's the other thing too. Trust yourself enough to discern if you're in danger. Because you have to try different things and get uncomfortable with something different and new in order to figure out who the heck you are and what really resonates with you. Why are you to get to know yourself? Are you going to bite? Don't judge yourself.
And you know how
play with the process.
when you're trying something new, trying something different, your mind may be on that wavelength. It might be really excited. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna start this practice. And your body says, nope.
Yeah.
So that can be a discouragement right there. But trusting that you can focus in, take the time, make the time. Because a lot of people who say, I don't have the time, if you actually went through your day, you find that that's a lie that you're telling yourself and everyone else, that I don't have time, when you spend 4 hours watching a program on binge.
And if you are busy, then make small amounts of time incrementally throughout the day and do little things for yourself to build that momentum flow. And then something will clear in your schedule in order for you to put more time into that.
Yes.
Just trust.
And one of the things when it comes to entering into meditation and yoga, a lot of people are wary of it because it requires a certain way of breathing, a certain way of sitting. And instead of being in the moment, their back hurts, their butt hurts, their feet are going to sleep. Am I breathing right? Why am I not getting any images? And all of these things are happening. And they're not just allowing, okay, well, that's normal. That's
And
100% normal to happen.
And also meditation doesn't have to be a certain way. Meditation doesn't have to be a seat. Meditation doesn't have to be where, because like I have the same stuff and then the back hurts. That's all way of meditation, right? I think a big thing is that people see one way and then they're like, oh, that's the only way that I can do that thing. I can't stand on my head or twist into a ball, so I can't do yoga. Oh, meditation is I have to sit there with my legs crossed for 5 hours, Vipassana, and then be like totally silent and then be silent for like the whole rest of the week. No, I can't do that, so I can't meditate. And it's like, no, there's like a whole lot in between those two things, like variety.
I feel like meditation is different for everybody.
And yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so some is
limit
like, some is breath, some is repetition of a mantra, some is just being mindful in the moment and present and aware of your senses. So like, that's why working with somebody that can teach you different ways and know that you can modify, like you can modify the things to you to meet you where you're at. And so that's cool, right?
I have a friend out in Pennsylvania who her meditation is literally folding the laundry.
Yeah, right. That can be meditative and you're present with it. Exactly.
Yes. So I wanted to get back to playfulness. Find a state of being for yourself that brings you into that state of flow where you don't even know how much time just went by.
You probably have something that you do and you're like, no, I love gardening.
There you go.
I love walking my dog. I love listening to the birds in the morning as I sip my coffee sitting on the porch. And there's probably some little thing, and that, do more of that, increase that.
Yes, 1,000%, yes. Yes, that will all help you build your trust for yourself because you're going to get to know yourself well enough to be able to discern your external environment.
Right.
And make different choices, healthier choices. This is such a fun discussion. I love this.
Yes. And I'm trying to, there's been some comments in the chat, and I've been trying to discern how I want to bring them in. It's a friend of mine who is from Holland. Her name's Karen, and we have a little bit of a language barrier. I do apologize, but I'm trying to figure out. I'm just going to read what she said. Judgments of what is or isn't authentic. Also, who judged? Find out that authenticity is a higher frequency. Who says what trust is? I feel like it's a freeness beyond. And how does trust stand to faith? Intentionality is conditional and therefore stands in the way of authenticity and does things with trust again. Therefore, authenticity doesn't stand in itself.
Can you paraphrase what you believe that to mean?
What I believe it to mean is, do we need trust to be authentic? Or does authenticity solely rely on trust? To answer that question, no. And we've covered that in 15 other episodes.
I think truth might be the answer because truth covers all areas as long as we maintain that level of truth.
But and it's truth with a capital T.
Yeah,
It's like the real truth
Yeah.
of like what
Yes.
existence is, and the real truth of what existence is like so big and so expansive and like encompasses it all. But it's like that, like seeking that for yourself. And so you're like learning and you're on a
Mhm.
journey, and I take this in and I'm like, oh yeah, that feels truth. That feels all right. And then you hear something, you're like, meh, uh,
No.
and then
You'll
you're like,
know.
no, that's not it. And then you might be like, well, maybe it is. And then you swim in it and you're like, no, that's not it. And then you go this way.
It's 100% true. Yeah.
I mean, you know, the crazy thing is that not a single one of us will ever know truth with a capital T as it
Until we
completely
pass
is.
right? We'll know when we turn into Sat Chit Ananda, which is truth, consciousness, and bliss. So like
Yeah.
we've like purified so much in our practices in this life, and we poof turn into it, then we'll know. Or when we expire and we pass on, poof, we're gonna know. And then whether or not we continue the path from how much we've awakened in this life. So the whole purpose is to awaken, to become more conscious, to understand more. And so you have all of existence to continue to do the work.
The reality is you have all of it's infinite. We are infinite beings and we are consciously aware of this specific human experience. So what you can control or decide is how you think and act here and now, because now is all
there
we,
it is.
humanity, has in this specific life experience.
Yep.
So that's the part to hone and hyper focus on when it comes to,
Presence.
yes, with your truth. What is your
Presence
truth?
with what's going on. And sometimes you might be like, I'm kind of a mess. And that's the reality.
Yep.
And it's okay to not be okay.
And I'm just like kind of a
Yes.
mess of a human right now, but I'm learning my lessons.
Yes. So what? So what? Start getting used to saying, so what? If you're judging yourself or being a certain
So
kind of
it's
way.
contentment, right?
Yeah.
Contentment with it as it is, trusting that each step is a step. And some of the steps you're not going to like, you're not going to want to do,
Yeah.
but here you are.
Yeah. Absolutely. Isn't she fabulous?
She is that. I'm so glad that she
Oh,
was able.
yeah.
And by the way, you're welcome to come back anytime you want.
Awesome. Thank you.
Veronica and I happen to be hanging out this week, and I'm like, hey, you want to hop on the live? You can do it. Can your friend let us know if we kind of sort of answered that?
I haven't seen another comment yet,
Okay.
but she did apologize because she
Seems
felt
like
a
there were
little
like
intrusive.
bullet points in responses to a variety of what we were talking about.
Yes.
So they were like going through and commenting
Right.
on parts. So,
Yes, yes.
Right.
Thank you.
yeah.
And we do appreciate the feedback. You know, and it's crazy because when we were talking about truth and the truth and coming to understand it, also understand that we are approaching 9 billion realities on a single planet.
Mhm. Ooh, that's interesting.
It's a lot.
Because every single person on this planet has their own reality, has their own idea of truth, and it doesn't always mesh. It doesn't always meet up with what other people are teaching.
Right.
And that's okay.
Mm.
But if you look at it all, when it comes to what you feel you could do, I'm not going to should you, but what you feel you could do to learn to trust yourself more and trust others more.
Yeah.
And I totally lost the point as I was saying.
It's all
I hate it when
it'll come.
but recognize that we are all working towards the same ending,
Wow,
regardless of belief.
Mhm.
that's the thing, right? So like, this is why I love yoga, because yoga in its in its realness is the search for truth. The yogis, the original yogis were, they were like, we want to know the truth of existence. T, big T.
Mhm.
So a lot of people don't understand this, that like yoga is the pool from which Eastern religions sprang. And so then you have some religions that are like, oh, it's this religion and that religion and this and blah, blah, blah. And it's not actually. The like basis of what flows out of it is a union and a oneness with all. And so it's like you really see it at Swami Satchidananda has an ashram in Virginia in Yogaville. And inside that ashram that looks like a big lotus flower, like he was a yogi, and it's got all the religions.
Mhm.
It's many paths, one truth. And so there is ultimately, like you said, we're all going out. It's one way. So we all came from the same place and we're all going to the same place. And here, what we're doing right now is how we're going to learn and evolve and grow.
Yes, if we choose
Yeah,
to.
if we choose to. You don't have to. No, you don't have to. But you're going to come back and then you're going to do it again.
Yeah. Was it worth it? And
Okay, I have some clarity in the chat. What is truth now can be untruth later. Okay, so what's true today could be
that's a
untrue.
lowercase t, correct. Lowercase t, correct. Yes.
Okay, so for example, I now trust that I like something, but tomorrow the same thing is totally off.
That's not
So-
true. But yeah, so big T is different
Yes.
than little t. There's two different truths.
so let's talk about that so that we understand the difference. So anything that involves this material world is little
T.
including the human experience.
Yeah.
Anything that involves a universal truth is a big T. So look up your universal truths, like, the ideals of Mott or the 12 universal laws or the Hermetic principles or whatever. Like educate yourself on that kind of core stuff and the understanding of the divine meaning of unconditional love, and allow yourself to expand and grow.
Yeah.
Because it is a big difference, because what is your core truth is that you feel disrespected when you were yelled at and screamed at right in the face about something that you didn't even do. And that's a truth. That's a core truth, because it irritated your honor, your being, who you are as a person. Your integrity was questioned, and that doesn't sit right with you because you were sitting in your truth, minding your own business. So like that feeling in your core, look up all that stuff, all that knowledge, and start allowing yourself to recognize the difference between a little t and a big T truth. I'm going to use that now.
So if it's like applied to your life, like, yeah, today I wake up and the truth is I like the sunshine. And then tomorrow I wake up and I'm like, oh, no, I don't like it today. That's different though, right? Like, then big T is, what is the truth of existence? Why are we here? What are we, like, why are we doing this? And so, like Micah said, we're never actually going to know it. Okay.
Yep.
And so we're never actually going to know it. And it's kind of fun though, right? So you can keep learning and discerning. And like I said, that sounds good. And then you're like, whoa, that doesn't. Learn which way to go towards the big T, because then I go through and I'm like, oh, and then this is true this year. And then this, like last year, it was true that I was in a healthy relationship and we were so in love and it was amazing. And now this year it's like, well, the truth is that ended and now here I am now. And it was like, wasn't the relationship and now I'm single. So my truth is now that I'm single. So yeah, your truth will continue to evolve, right? Because I'm in a human body, right? And so you're just going to keep getting more and more spacious with what you see, and more, it's like third eye. So ultimately development of the third eye and crown will support the understanding of the big and little T.
Yes.
Right. It's like when I'm offering readings to people and somebody comes up, I say, if guided.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. If you're going to ask me if he or she is the one, my answer will always be yes, for now.
Exactly.
But if you're asking, you're already questioning your trust.
That's a great example, by the way.
The whole thing is you trust that no matter what happens, even if that person comes or even if that person goes, you have a solid relationship with yourself and you trust that you will be okay. Because
Yes.
maybe that person was sent for a season, maybe they were sent for a reason, maybe a lifetime,
Yeah.
maybe not. That has nothing to do with it. That's like
Mhm.
irrelevant, right? They were there to teach you something.
Right.
Come
Right.
back to yourself. Come
Right.
back to your relationship with yourself.
You're not here to be understood by others. You're here to understand yourself.
Mm.
See everyone as your reflection so
Mm.
that you can learn about yourself. What aspects of yourself are you seeing that you like or don't like?
Mm.
And in what ways can you love yourself more deeply?
Exactly. How others feel about you is not your responsibility.
Mhm.
Others understanding your truth and your honesty is
Yeah.
your accountability.
Yes. Accountability to yourself first and foremost. I'm going to bring it right back to you have to stop betraying yourself.
Yes.
So
You
that's
have
why
to trust yourself enough that who you are is
Yes.
okay.
The cure for that is truth.
Yeah, and worthiness, that it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. I think sometimes people don't want to be different and don't want to
Yeah.
stand out. But like there are things happening in the society that I love so much that show me how different we are. Like the Pride movement is my absolute most favoritist of like the movements that I've seen be born, like
Yeah.
in my humanness in this time, because it's so beautiful, right? To fully embrace individuality of whatever is the way that you want to celebrate who you are. So like I love that. And
Mhm.
it's sad when people have to hide pieces of who they are, you know?
Yes. So how do we create a society that we don't have to have movements?
Mm.
And that is
Yeah, that
more-
like that pride can be the way that we live actually, right?
Right.
Like it's an embodiment of like humanity. That's why I love it,
Right.
right? It's like I'm thinking about where I stand there and it's like,
be authentic.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the number one ally, right? And
Yeah.
I want us all to be proud of who we are as humans. But
Yeah.
that means embracing sometimes, you know, I feel like this society says, don't look at your past, don't look at it, whatever, move on, you know, but it's like you have to kind of embrace all of it
Yeah.
and embody to be able to just to be able to move on from it, you have to actually embrace it and look at it. And it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
It is, but it's necessary in order for you to bring your truth
Of
up
who
so
you are.
you know what resonates with you. It's a matter of learning about yourself. We've talked about shifting your energy into that heart-centered space of learning so that you
Right.
can learn and understand yourself
A
so that you
student.
know what to change.
Student of life.
Always, never ending.
No, it doesn't stop until it does. And
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
try
and
to
we went over
enjoy the
time.
journey as much as you can on the way.
Yes, and we went over our time. We're having so much fun.
Oh, I know. I was looking, I was like, oh, we're at almost an hour. But you know, just to bring it all back, you know, when it comes to being authentic, trust isn't the only key. Trust isn't the only thing that's involved in rising to your authenticity. Trust is important because it helps to diminish those needs for validation. It reduces the judgment that you have on yourself, which extends outwards to other people. And actually, I've been inspired for next week's topic already.
Oh, what is it? What are we talking about?
Next week, we're going to talk about permission.
Ooh, ooh, it could be good.
Because far too many people, I don't want to dive too in, but far too many people give false permission. Mainly, you know, because they don't trust themselves and they don't trust the people around them, which is an extension of the internal trust.
Like boundaries.
Yep.
Boundaries.
Judgment. We've covered so many things. Now it's time to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to try and what they're showing me for next week. It's going to be fun. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much, Diane and Veronica.
Thank you so much, Micah.
For
Thank you.
having this
Thank
conversation.
you.
And thank you to our live audience, Karen and Hildy, for your comments. We love you guys. Thank you so much, and hope that we were able to answer your questions. And if anybody viewing this in the replay has any questions or any ideas for future shows, please put them in the comments below. And I will also make sure that links for Veronica, Diane, and myself are all available in the write-up as soon as we are done with this live replay. So thank you again, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will see you all next week.
Yes,
And
we will.
make it a great week, and be sure to keep going.